There's something else I gotta do here. Okay. Oops. Oh, okay. There's someone else. Mhm. Hmm. I think there's like 21 people in the class. Mm.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Well, to all of you. Hey, we're getting some people here. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. We'll wait for everybody to get here.
Hey, William.
Right. Hello.
Okay, a couple more minutes.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Oh, your name I recognize because you've been emailing with me, so Chris. Yeah. Yeah, I usually give it till about 2 minutes after before we start, just to make sure everybody makes it in. Hmm. We still got a few people. that should come. Okay, we'll give it one more minute. Okay, it is about 2 after, so I guess we'll start. Maybe other people will be kind of trailing in. So we're gonna do introductions. My name is Professor Gould, but before we get to that, the first thing I'd like to show you is my teaching philosophy. So I'm just gonna pull that up so you can all see it. So just a second here. Okay. So this is my teaching philosophy. So Professor Gould, that's me, believes that everyone is an expert at something, so has something to offer the class. Everyone learns differently, and it's my responsibility to understand and teach to each student's unique learning style. I enjoy teaching a diverse student body and believe diversity should be celebrated. I believe teaching is an interaction between the student and instructor, so neither one is solely responsible for learning. And finally, I believe that students learn best when they're exposed to a variety of different teaching methods, such as podcasts, videos, reading assignments, role plays, etc. So there you have my teaching philosophy. Oops, some people still coming in. So a whole new class that I have to get to know. So first, we're going to start out with introductions. So I thought that we could all say 3 things about ourselves to share with the class. So I will start first. So I'm actually teaching you from Chicago. That's my hometown, and that's where I graduated from social work school. And I have I have a full-time private practice here that's both a clinical and forensic private practice. I'm also an expert witness in many different kinds of cases, but also cases involving substance abuse. And I'm very interested in other cultures. I speak 5 languages fluently and have 2 children adopted from Mexico who are now about your age. So those are some things about me. So why don't we just go around the room and each of us share 3 things about ourselves so I can get to know you. Amber, why don't you go first?
I'm Amber. 3 things about myself. I'm really bad at this game.
That's okay.
I did not always seek out education. I got my GED when I was 27, and that's how my kind of career started. I got into social work because I was married and my husband was a Marine and he was killed in Afghanistan in 2009. And I had a terrible social worker that came to my house, and I was 23 years old at the time. And once I kind of got through my grief, I was like, you know what? We need more social workers that are better. And that's kind of how I got my career started. And that's it. That's all I can think of.
Okay, so I think I make a great social worker having had those experiences, but especially getting your GED at 27. That sounds brave, so it could have easily just gone the other way, right?
Yeah.
So great. William, why don't you share something about yourself?
Hey everybody, my name is William Mark, from Brooklyn, New York. I am a first generation college graduate with a bachelor's in social work, so I skipped my first year into the advanced standing program here. I know that I'm bi-ethnic, so my mom is from the Caribbean and my dad is Nigerian, so I'm mixed.
Okay. So do you speak any Nigerian languages or not?
I'm trying to learn Yoruba, which is my dad's tribal side of the language.
Okay, very interesting. One thing you'll get to know about me is I'm a forensic social worker, like I said, and I do big reports for people like immigrants to help them legalize their status. And I actually do see a lot of Nigerians, so interesting. Okay, Taisha, am I pronouncing your name right?
You are pronouncing my name right. So hi, everyone. I'm Taisha. I'm not Nigerian, but I'm married to one. So that's the last name, Adioye.
Okay.
I'm a twin. I got my undergrad at Morgan State, and I enjoy traveling. I've been to Nigeria about 3 or 4 times now.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going
Interesting.
to my so.
Yeah, there seem to be a lot of Nigerians in the Baltimore area. That's the impression I get. Or I have a lot of clients
Yeah,
from
it's right.
Maryland. So, okay, good. And Sean.
Hello, I have a BSW from UMBC, and I also studied philosophy there in the advanced standing program. I'm interested in languages. I've tried to learn 4 or 5 different ones, and I've lived overseas. So,
4 or 5 different ones. Which ones?
Mandarin,
Mhm.
French, Spanish, of course, Esperanto, and I know a little sign language and Thai.
Wow, interesting. So I would encourage the class, like it's good to know another language. That will always help you in your career. Like it's helped me quite a bit that I know several languages. So great. Leora, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, that is. Hey, everybody. My name's Leora. Let's see. I should have thought of these things before.
That's all right. Yeah.
Studied psychology undergrad, and then I'm currently in the specialization for clinical social work, and pursuing aging. And right now I'm in a placement where I'm doing therapy with older adults, and I really like it.
Okay. Thais asked which languages I speak, so I'm going to tell you. I speak fluent Spanish, Brazilian, Portuguese, Polish, French, and German. But there's been a lifelong thing. I started in high school and I just kept on going, so I've studied languages all my life. So Leora, I'm interested. Do you like working with the geriatric population?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of jobs in that, or I
Mhm.
think it takes a special person to do it though, so that's great. Okay, Timothy, I do not know how you pronounce your name American wise, but in Polish it would be Nowicki.
Yes, Nowicki, but
Nowicki.
if you want to do the Polish version, that's fine too. I've had a lot of Polish people call me the Polish version.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I got my bachelor's in psychology. I originally grew up in Buffalo, New York. and currently field placement at the Annapolis Vet Center. I went back to school for college later in life because I wanted to work with veterans, and so that's where I'm placed now.
Excellent. That is actually one of my favorite things to do, is work with the military. Like I really like working with them. So I always thank them for their service. Okay, Catherine, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I go by Kate, everybody. I got my bachelor's in business and social work in Colorado. And then I moved back here. I'm originally from Baltimore. And one of my life goals is to go to all of the national parks. And I've been to 38 so far.
Wow. Huh. And which one did you like the best?
Probably Death Valley. It's just really
Huh.
important.
Okay. Excellent. And Paige, tell us about yourself.
So I'm Paige. My field placement is working with people who have co-occurring mental health and substance abuse disorders. So I'm really excited for this class. I just recently adopted a cat and he has no tail. And I'm from Baltimore area, but Maryland.
Okay. And does that affect the cat in some way, not having a tail?
No, I fostered him for 5 months and he had a bite wound on his tail. So they decided to amputate it while he was a foster, but he's okay. It doesn't bother him at all.
I'm glad to hear that. So, yeah, I taught this class last semester, and a lot of people would have their dogs and cats with them, and I did not mind. So, okay, Nicole.
Hi. I don't really know anything as like funny as all you guys said or interesting, but in my undergrad I had 3 minors. I am internshipping in CPS currently, and I'm in the Title 40 program.
Okay, so since I'm not from Maryland, what is CPS?
CPS is
Child Protective Services. Oh, okay, yeah, I answered my own question there. So, yeah, we call it DCFS in Illinois. So, okay, and what were your 3 minors?
Sociology, psychology, and urban and community studies.
Oh, okay, very good. Cecile, tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cecile. I'm originally from New Jersey. I did psychology and criminal justice in undergrad, and I also work, not in CPS, but I work for the Baltimore, I'm interning at Baltimore County Department of Social Services.
And are you interested in forensic social work, or you're just, you said your field placement was, no, you said something about working in the criminal justice system.
I did undergrad in criminal justice and psychology, and I work for Office of Public Defender. So I'm exploring forensic psychology in the future, or forensic interviewing in the future. Yeah.
Okay, very good. That is my specialty. So, Chris, tell us about yourself.
How you doing? My name's Chris. In the master's program, my specialization is clinical with behavioral health. I like to travel. I've been all over Europe. I taught English in Thailand for a little bit. In my field placement, I'm at the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Okay, and is that just where your field placement is, or you want to go into military social work?
I'm thinking about working with veterans.
Okay. Very good. Leah, tell us about yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Leah. I use she, her pronouns, and for undergrad, I was social work and psychology. And then for my master's, clinical behavioral health. And currently my field placement is at Holy Cross Medical Adult Day Center because I enjoy working with older adults. Yeah. Also, I love cats. So Paige, if your cat is ever nearby you, I would love to see your cat.
Okay, so you could bring your cat to class if you want, both of you. So as long as they don't run around too much. Okay, is this Kenise? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, it's Kenise.
Kenise, okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Kenise. Three things about me. I'm currently interning at DCPS at a school called Columbia Heights Educational Campus. I was born in Jamaica, moved to America when I was 11. One more thing. And I did the 3-year track for my master's.
Okay. I think I mentioned that I write expert witness reports for deportation cases. And I will never forget that once I had a Jamaican client who they had to have a translator come, like I could not understand.
Translator.
So yeah, I guess they spoke the patois that's spoken there.
It's just broken English. But
Is it? Yeah, I think that's what they call it, right? Broken English or not? Or it has a name, the patois or something. Okay. All right, Jasmine, tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jasmine. I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am a Navy veteran. And my concentration is clinical behavioral health.
Okay. So a Navy veteran, were you overseas or not?
I was stationed in DC, North Carolina, Texas, Chicago.
Oh, okay. The US. Okay. Well, thank you for your service. All right. Michelle.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm just on my mom's computer right now. Some interesting facts about me is I really like the beach. I'm from Maryland and my concentration is.
So I don't know if it's your computer or mine, but you blanked out when you said my concentration is, and then I couldn't hear. Oh, you're muted. Oh, that's why.
Sorry, no, I can try again. It could be my Wi-Fi.
No, it's just muted, so yeah.
Oh, okay. It's children and families.
Oh, okay. Very good. And did you say where your field placement is?
It's at the Laurie Center in Rockville, and they do children's play therapy there.
Oh, okay, very good. So that is how many moons ago I started out doing play therapy with children. So, okay, Todd, tell us about yourself. You're muted too. Okay, now you're okay.
Hi, I'm Todd, and so I did my undergrad at the University of Delaware, mastered in psychology, was 3 credits away from a history minor. And I'm a 3rd generation social worker. My mom and her father have both been social workers. And a 3rd thing is I like to cook.
Very good. So 3 generations of social workers. Wow. What kind of social work did they do?
Both were just in private practice, like therapy.
Okay, very, very interesting. Okay, now we have Rebecca.
Hi everyone. I actually started going by Joe. So like the character in Little Women is how you spell it. Just did not feel like logging out of Zoom and back in. I also have cats. I foster, so I have one right now, but he's asleep. I'm on day 23 of my Duolingo streak, so I'm not fluent yet, but I'm learning Spanish.
Oh, good.
And my field placement, I'm doing medical case management and really enjoying it.
Okay, so you'll have to remind me to call you Joe since your picture says Rebecca, but I'll try to remember.
Yeah, there's no button to rename, so I need to change it on my Zoom settings.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll get used to it. So, okay, Allie.
Hi everyone, my name is Allie. I am from North Carolina originally, so I moved to Baltimore in August for this program, and I still don't know very many people yet. So if you are looking for friends, hi. My concentration, so I'm a clinical macro student with a specialization in behavioral health, and I am fluent in Spanish. I started at the age of 6 and continued it all the way through college. So at this point, I'm conversationally fluent, and after graduation, I want to learn to interpret.
So you just learned Spanish? It's not in your family that you grew up speaking it?
Yeah, so I had the amazing privilege of going to a global studies magnet school when I was in elementary. And part of the curriculum was they started us in a foreign language. They started us in foreign language classes in kindergarten. And my first year it was Japanese, but then our Japanese teacher retired and they brought in a Spanish teacher. And I just completely fell in love with the language and the culture, and I was really, really good at picking it up. So I just continued with it, and yeah.
Okay, that will definitely serve you well, no matter what branch of social work you go into. So very good. All right, William, did you get to say something? The things are kind of turned around. Your faces. Yeah, you went already, right? That's what I thought. And Kenise went. Who did not go? You know, you can just go ahead. Anyone? Okay, everyone spoke.
Hi, I haven't gone yet.
Oh, okay.
And I came in late. So what are my specialization and what else?
Just 3 things about yourself, whatever.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, okay. There you are.
I need to get it off my phone. Sorry.
No,
I had emailed you. I was all flustered. I had to make my first CPS call today, just now in the field. So that's why I was running late. My name is McKenna. My specialization is children and families. What else? I have this big fur baby right behind me. He'll probably sit behind me in most classes.
Yeah, that's fine.
And one more thing. After this is done, after I get my degree in May, I'm doing the psychedelic assisted therapy certification.
Wow, so that's for any like mental health or just substance abuse or
Mental, I'm more interested in like treating treatment resistant depression and PTSD and anxiety and
okay, very interesting. Okay. I don't think Willita went, right?
Hi, how are you? I'm currently in Liberia right now, so my connection is a little bit back and forth. And it's also 11 p.m. here, so yes. But I'm from Maryland originally. I was born there. I just graduated from Bowie State University with my bachelor's in social work. I'm doing clinical social work, specializing in behavioral health. I'm in the advanced standing program, so I'm doing part-time in spring. But yes, that's me. I'm sorry, my camera's off. It's just a little bit rocky, so that's why.
Okay, so you, I'm curious, what are you doing in Liberia?
Oh, I had a death in my family, so that's why I'm here. I'm coming back on the 2nd, so I'll be back in America on the 3rd.
So, are you of Liberian background then?
Yes, I am. I'm
okay.
Liberian.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. So I've
Yeah.
also dealt with a lot of librarians. I don't know if you came in a little bit late, but I said that I'm a forensic social worker in addition to doing clinical work, and I write a lot of reports for people that are being deported, and many of them are librarians.
A librarian. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
Nice.
Liberian people, so as well as just general African. So,
Yes.
okay, was that everybody, or is there anybody I missed? That was everybody. Okay. All right. So now we get to the good stuff to talk about the syllabus. Before we talk about the syllabus, though, there's just some kind of housekeeping and basic points I want to go through. So I'll do that first, and then we'll pull up the syllabus and I'll give you a chance to ask questions. So first, I want to explain the structure of the class. So every week we have this class, and every Wednesday morning I post something on Blackboard. You'll see on the left-hand side of Blackboard, there's all these different links. So it's called Weekly Assignment PowerPoint. If you've gone on there, you may have seen it already. So that always tells you what you're supposed to do for the week. It has all the assignments, all the due dates. So like for this week, everything that's posted on the week 1 weekly assignment PowerPoint, you have a full week to do it until next Wednesday, right before the class. And then when we have the class, we discuss that material from the prior week. And then it keeps on going like that. Does that make sense to people? Okay. So we're always like in our class discussing things that you had for a full week to study the week before. So that's one thing. The other thing is that it is mandatory that you keep your camera on during the class, except for like brief bathroom breaks or, you know, some other brief break. I don't want people having their cameras off for extended periods of time because I believe that you can't participate that way. And if that happens, but I'm not talking about brief breaks, I'm talking about like the whole class here, or for an extended period of time, your camera is off, that would count against your participation grade. So please do your best to keep your camera on. And the other thing is that the class attendance is mandatory, barring exceptional circumstances. So if something truly prevents you from attending this class, just email me. But barring, you know, my permission or an excuse from me, the class is mandatory. The next thing is about the length of the class. So this class is officially scheduled from 6 to 9 p.m. your time. But I feel like that's a long time to stay on Zoom. So in general, I dismiss the class early. But what you should know, it kind of depends on how much we have to discuss. So maybe you should put in your books, you know, 6 to 9 p.m., but more than likely, you know, you'll be dismissed before then. Because a lot of the classes on Blackboard, you know, so it's not necessarily, rarely would be actually until 9 o'clock. So a few other things. I record the Zoom classes, and after the class, I'll send you all a link so you can watch it if you want to again. My office hours. So my office hours are just as needed. You know, if you want to talk to me, just email me and we'll arrange a time, and I'll, you know, see you on Zoom, or it could be something short. I'll reply by email. So but I don't have specific office hours, but you just email me and I'll arrange a time for you. The next thing is about the participation grade. So the participation grade consists of basically 2 things. Your participation and attendance in the class, but also these discussion posts. So you'll see on the weekly assignment PowerPoint that every week is a discussion post that you're supposed to answer. So like for now, there's already week 1 discussion post up there. So you should, you have from now until next Wednesday, right before the class, to answer the question. And that's every week. So the participation grade is a combination of attendance, participation in class, and doing the discussion posts. The textbook. So the textbook is listed on the syllabus. I do not care if you have a digital or a hard copy, either one is okay. And if you're strapped for cash, I don't care if you use a prior edition, that's fine with me. So that's another thing. Sometimes you can find cheaper prior editions. One more thing. So the lectures, I will not be lecturing during this class. The lectures are pre-recorded and they're on Blackboard. So every week you have a lecture to listen to. What we'll be doing during this class, you could conceptualize this class, it's more like a workshop. So it means that we'll be addressing the class material for the prior week, but we probably won't be directly discussing, each reading or each podcast. It will be more things like discussions, exercises, role plays, like it will be based on the course materials, but it's a more in-depth workshop type exploration, you could say. So that's everything that I had. Are there any questions about any of that? Everybody understood everything? Okay. Why don't I pull up the syllabus? But there are 4 things in the chat, so let me see. All right. Lauren, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure if you said my name.
Okay. You didn't get a chance to introduce yourself, so tell us 3
Yeah.
things about yourself.
I'm from Buffalo, New York, so go Bills. Hopefully we can win this Sunday, I think. Yeah, so hopefully we win that game. I got my undergraduate degree in psychology with a minor in communications, and I also like to travel. I studied abroad in undergrad in Italy for 6 weeks. I've been to El Salvador, I've been to St. Lucia, been to a couple other places, so yeah. That's about
Oh,
it.
okay. And are any of those places you visited your ethnic background, or you just happened to visit them?
No, I just happened to visit them. I'm African American. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Very interesting. Okay. And did I miss anyone else or anybody else come in late? No. All right. So I'm going to pull up the syllabus. So let me do that. Okay. So I'll kind of be going through this and I'll stop at each point to let you ask questions. But you see, here's the textbook we use, Addiction Treatment, A Strengths Perspective by Catherine Van Wormer and Diane Ray Davis. Like I said, you can get either the hard copy or digital one, I don't care. And if you can find a cheaper copy that's an earlier edition, you can do that too. So let's go through the assignments. So one thing I should say is the dates when the assignments are due are in the syllabus, like in the lower part of the syllabus where it actually shows the dates for everything. But they'll also be always posted on the assignment, weekly assignment PowerPoint. So I'll say, upcoming assignments and a few weeks in advance, and you'll know that way too. So let's have a reader read the first assignment. Anybody?
I can do it. So reaction paper, self-help meeting. The student will attend a traditional 12-step meeting either in person or online. Please do not attend a group that is led by a professional facilitator. One place to locate 12-step meetings is by looking on the internet. Papers where only a video of a meeting is watched will not be accepted. The meeting must be in real time, even if online, not a pre-recorded meeting. Be sure to attend an open meeting where visitors are welcome. Those who are able to honestly identify as having been in the process of addiction are welcome to go to a closed meeting. Try to go alone. If you do find the need to go with a friend, do not sit in the meeting with your friend. Be aware of how you are feeling, your thoughts, and the dynamics of the group. Please do not take notes or write during the meeting as ooh, that word always gets me. Anonymity, yes, thank you, is a strong value within self-help meetings and is adhered to by the participants. Compare class readings and class content to your experience throughout the paper to make academic sense of your observations. The student will write a 5-page paper double-spaced that addresses all of the following issues. 1, briefly describe the meeting, including location, time of day, and composition of the story, including composition of the group, including sociocultural aspects as gender, class, race, etc. 2, describe a story that was told at the meeting. Organize the story with the headlines of Jelinek chart using both the downward spiral and the process of recovery. We will discuss the Jelinek chart in class, and a copy of the chart we posted on Blackboard. 3, from a theoretical point of view, how do the 12 steps work as therapeutic tools? 4, describe your personal experience of the meeting. What dynamics resonated with you? What dynamics discouraged you? What is your personal opinion about the usefulness of 12-step groups for people with addictions, and give a rationale for your opinion. This assignment will count for 25% of the final grade for the class.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are there any questions about this assignment? There usually are a lot of questions about this one, so.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could further explain that it's not led by a professional facilitator, because I guess my knowledge of AA meetings is not super thorough. So I kind of thought they were all led by facilitators.
So there is a chairman of the meetings usually, but that person is a fellow addict. You know, by professional, I mean they're not a licensed clinical social worker. They're not a licensed mental health professional. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
So like my perspective, it would be more like an Alcohol Anonymous or Gamblers Anonymous meeting, something like that.
Right. So also it's important that it be a 12-step meeting. So a 12-step meeting would be like Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. It would not be like Smart Recovery or there's other groups like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's simple. You can just look it up online, correct?
Oh, you're kind of hard to hear there. So can you speak a little louder?
Is it possible to just look up, try to find these meetings online?
Oh, okay. Where to find them online? Sure. I know they have websites. I do not actually have the website, but if you Google,
Mark, I'll send you the link. I can send you a link. I
yeah.
can send you like a few different ones. I've actually already did the assignment, just about I'm almost finished.
Oh, okay, all right,
Appreciate
good.
it.
We got someone, you know, if you don't have the link, you just Google Narcotics Anonymous meetings, Alcoholics Anonymous, stuff will come up. And if you still can't find it, email me and I'll look up the link for you too. So, okay, other questions? There's usually 2 other questions. Go ahead.
2 quick questions. It's a 5-page paper, double-spaced. How strict are you on the page limit as far as some professors you can't go over, or you have to make sure you go up to 5 pages?
So first of all, I don't include the cover page as part of that page limit, but I'm not real strict if you go over it, you know, as long as, you know, you should keep in mind, I have to read like 21 papers. So you know, I wouldn't want it to be 10 pages over that, but if it's a little bit over that, that's okay. If it's under that, I probably would think that is not acceptable, because I don't think you can answer all those questions in less than 5 pages.
Okay. And,
Yeah.
and you said it's a traditional 12-step versus like a smart recovery or something like that. I was just wondering the reasoning for.
Yeah, sure. The reason is because 12 steps are so integral to substance abuse. Not that these other groups are not important, we'll actually be studying them, but you know, if you decide to go into a career working with substance abuse, you will always encounter 12-step groups. So I feel that you should know about them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Other questions about the first assignment? People usually ask me 2 other things, so I'll just throw them out there. So one is people ask me, well, it says on there that you can't take notes during the meeting. So what do I do about that? So I would urge you to immediately write down what you experienced right after the meeting, when your memory is fresh, you know. But if you take notes during the meeting, I feel like that might disturb the other members of the group. So unless you do it really, you're watching online and you can do it without anybody seeing, you know, that would be okay. But I feel like it might actually disturb the dynamics of the meeting. So I would suggest that right afterwards, you know, you write down everything you remember. And the other question I get a lot is, what about confidentiality? Because it says that you have to tell a story. So at these meetings, there's always people that tell their, you could call it a drunkalogue, you know, that's probably not the best word for it, but they tell their addiction stories. So part of the assignment is relating that story and analyzing it in certain ways that are included in that description of the assignment. So people ask me, well, what about confidentiality? As long as you don't use the person's names, you know, then it's confidential. So you can say what you want, but you should not use identifying information. So any other questions about that one, about that assignment? Okay, then we'll move on to the next one. Let's have a reader for this second assignment.
Substance abuse assessment video recording. A partner list will be posted on Blackboard for the role play assignment. Students will work in pairs, with one student playing the social worker and the other playing the client, and then switch so that the student has the opportunity to play each role. The instructor will post case scenarios on Blackboard, or you may use a client from your field placement with names changed for confidentiality, or you may make up a client scenario. Students must conduct a thorough substance abuse assessment, asking all pertinent questions. Guidelines for conducting the assessment with sample questions and instructions for submitting the video to the instructor will be posted in Blackboard. Each student must submit a video of themselves playing the social worker role. Video should not exceed 15 minutes. The assignment will count for 25% of the final grade for this class.
Okay, any questions about this?
So basically, it's just role playing. Each person plays, like, I guess the social worker, and the other person plays a client. So
Exactly.
if I did a role play, like, because I watched yours with your husband, so if I did it with my husband or like a coworker or something, I can just be the social worker and I don't have to switch, right? Because he wouldn't be needed to do
Like,
that.
I don't have to see the video with you as the client. I only
Okay,
have to see
cool.
the video with you. But you're supposed to work with a partner, you know, so there's actually a list of partners already on Blackboard. But you should, and like other students from the class, you know, so you should
okay.
look at that list before you do the assignment, because if the class enrollment changes, you know, then I'll have to change that list. So, but you know, it'll probably stay the same after a couple of weeks at least. So any other questions about this one? Nothing else? Okay. I should say I'm not that strict about the 15-minute thing. Like, I don't want you to sit there worrying like, oh my God, it's going over 15 minutes, that just be reasonable, like think about how I have to read, I have to listen to 21 videos. So, I don't want your video to be a half hour long, but if it goes a minute or two over, a little bit over, that's fine. And you'll see that there's a role play that I did with my husband that's you can model it after, and there's also questions that you're supposed to ask that I posted, but we'll be discussing all of that, before you have to do it. Okay, let's have a reader for the third one.
I'll read. Quizzes. There will be 5 quizzes covering the course material throughout the course. The dates of the quizzes are listed on the schedule of the classes below. The quizzes will be posted and taken on Blackboard and are untimed and open book. Students will have a full week to do each quiz. The quizzes must be posted on will be posted on Monday mornings on Blackboards to be available for students to start working and are due by the following Monday before a Zoom class.
That's actually a mistake, but read the rest of it.
Okay, before a Zoom to start at 6 p.m. An average of the quiz grades will count for 10% of the final grade for this class.
Okay, so I used to teach this class on Mondays. So what I meant is that the quizzes will be posted on Wednesday mornings and are due by the following Wednesday before our Zoom class at 6 p.m. So sorry about that. Questions about the quizzes?
Yes. When it's open book, you mean from the textbook, or is it more from the
I mean, anything. But let me tell you a little bit about the quizzes. The quizzes are heavily based off the PowerPoints, and the PowerPoints are the lectures, so the lectures which are posted on pre-recorded lectures on Blackboard. So you can look at anything to answer the questions, but most of the questions are going to be taken directly from the PowerPoints. So that's what open book means. You can also look up stuff online, if you want to, and you have a full week to do it. Plus you can stop and come back to it, so I try to make it easier like that because I think that you actually learn a lot from looking up the answers. So I don't care if you look up the answers. I should say about that one that if a large portion of the class does not do well on the first quiz, I will give a makeup quiz. But that's only if everybody, does like 70 or below. So they're easy though. If you look at the PowerPoints, you will be able to find the answers.
So you just said that if we don't do well, you'll give a makeup quiz. A lot of the time, some tests and quizzes have like multiple attempts. Do you not do that since you're going to do the makeup?
No, it's both actually. You can have multiple attempts, and not just if one person doesn't do well. If the majority of the class, then I'll give a makeup quiz for everybody. So, but hopefully it won't happen. So. Okay, any other questions about the quizzes? Okay. So now let's have a reader for the substance abuse case study paper. Anybody?
For this assignment, the instructor will post case scenarios on Blackboard, or you may use a client from your field placement with names change or for confidentiality. Or you may make up a client scenario. Students will write a 10-page paper, double-spaced, that addresses all of the following questions. 1, considering the case history, describe the client's issues as they relate to or support the diagnosis of SUD. Identify the level of severity rating for the substance use disorder that you think fits the client. 2, include a list of clients' needs and problems. Explain your rationale for each need or problem you identify. 3, include a list of the client's strengths. 4, considering the client's status on diversity, gender, race, ethnicity, religion, cultural background, sexual orientation. Discuss any impacts on the addictive process, progression, and recovery. Include a list of all recommendations for the client. 6, discuss what level of care you think the client needs for treatment, outpatient group, intensive outpatient, partial hospitalization, inpatient residential. If you think detoxic, I'm sorry.
No, go.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If you think detoxification is needed, sorry, hold on one. My phone just went out.
If you're having problems with your phone, maybe someone else can take over from here. Anybody else can read the rest.
I think he's muted. I think he's reading the muted. All right, I'm up.
Yeah, just go on with it.
Yeah, I'll continue.
Thank you.
If you think detoxification is needed, you may include that, but also add subsequent or simultaneous. Oh, I can't read that. Simultaneous treatment. Explain your rationale for the selected level of care. 7, discuss what therapeutic approach or combination of approaches would best help the client in the level of care you suggest. Example, cognitive behavioral, self-facilitation, trauma-informed, integrated trauma, and substance abuse treatment. Explain why the approach or approaches would be best in this case. In your discussion, include what theories related to the etiology. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you're doing fine.
Of addiction underlie the treatment approach. 8, identify the treatment goal and list objectives for that goal. Include specific interventions that will help the client to achieve the goal. Example, psychoeducation group, individual sessions, family sessions. 9, include what discussion of whether or not the client's family should be involved in the treatment. How? What type of treatment? Why? 10, discuss the strategies that should be used to help the client prevent relapse. Papers should use APA format and include a reference section, at least 2 peer-reviewed articles to support the treatment approach chosen. This assignment will count 30% of the final grade for the class.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have questions about this one, which is basically just a case study?
So it's a case study. Is it like also you are like doing a biopsychosocial or more?
So
you just developing a
basically,
treatment plan?
yeah, like in a substance abuse assessment and also a treatment plan for a substance abuse disordered client. But you have to answer all those questions.
Okay.
I should say I'm always willing to meet with people in person. Like I'm really try to help students. So if any of you have trouble with it, you don't understand something, I'm happy to answer your questions when we get closer to it. But any other questions right now?
Yes. Regarding the references, are you looking for a total of references that's like that have to be peer reviewed articles, or like you looking for more than two references? That includes two
If you have
peer-reviewed
two
articles.
peer-reviewed articles, that's fine. It says at least two. So if you have two of them, that's good enough for me. Other questions? Okay. I want to say that one thing I'm a real stickler for, and I'll explain why, is I'm a stickler for writing, grammar, punctuation. You might think that's not important, but it actually is. And why it's important, because we have to write a tremendous amount as social workers. And if you can't express yourself well in writing, you know, other people, you could be a great social worker and people will misinterpret your work, or the document is all you have to show what you did. So it's actually extremely important to write in social work, especially if you go into forensic social work like me, but even if you don't, you know, it's always important. So if you have feel you're not very confident about your writing, use the writing center at school. There are computer programs that will go over your writing and make sure you use the right punctuation. And I always recommend that you have someone else read your paper, you know, to try to catch mistakes before you turn it in. So, okay, the last thing is a participation grade. So let's have a reader.
I can go ahead and do number 5.
Okay.
Participation grade. The instructor will issue a participation grade based on, but not limited to, the following: timely submission of all papers and assignments, active participation in class discussions, completion of all discussion posts in a timely manner. Instructor will post discussion questions on Blackboard to which student must post responses for each week of the course. And students not having the cameras turned off or for extended periods of time during Zoom classes. Having your camera turned off for extended periods of time during class, not just a minute or two to eat or go to the bathroom, will result in reduction in your participation grade. Participation will count for 10% of your final grade for this class.
Okay, any questions about that?
I have a question here, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in this situation who gets home from field like right before class starts. And so like, because I have class multiple nights in a row, so can we make dinner while we're on the call?
Yeah, absolutely. Or I really don't mind unless you mind. You know,
So like, you would rather us leave our video on if we're like also standing by a stove instead of just turn the video off?
it's fine with me. I mean, basically, I'm just saying what I'm saying, that the camera should not be turned off for extended period of time. That doesn't mean that it can't be turned off ever, you know? So if you're just going to take a short time to do that and you feel more comfortable turning it off, you know, then that's just a short period of time. If you want to sit there and have your camera on while you're eating, that's fine with me too. You know, I don't tell you what to do. I just say that the camera should be on except for short breaks. Any other questions? Okay. So here are the you know, the weights of all the different things, you know, 25%, 25%, 10%, 30%, and 10%. Let's see if there's anything else. So here's the schedule, which you can kind of look at your own time, but you'll see that in general, I don't really list all the reading assignments here because they're on that weekly assignment PowerPoint. And it also tells you the dates for things. So like, for example, quiz number 1 due on February 15th. So if you want to see when something's due, you can look on the schedule, or it will always be on the weekly assignment PowerPoint. Any other questions at all about the syllabus? Okay, good. Just a second. Okay. Just gonna do something that is like to find out how much you already know about substance abuse. And this is not a test or anything. Don't take it that seriously. It's just supposed to be kind of fun, you know? So let me pull that up. Okay, hopefully you can all see this. Yes, okay. So let's just go through the questions as a class. So the famous abolitionist Frederick Douglass was a recovering alcoholic, true or false? Any of you heard of Frederick Douglass? Just take a guess.
True.
That is true, actually. And does anyone know much about Frederick Douglass and who he was? And why he was important? So like I said, don't worry if you don't know. This is just for fun, but you'll learn in our first week that Frederick Douglass was a famous abolitionist. And he was a recovering alcoholic. So he actually wrote a lot about alcoholism. Okay, number 2. Actually, let's have people read. I always think that's more interactive. So will someone read question number 2?
I can do it. Withdrawal from heroin is worse than withdrawal from alcohol, and that is false.
Let's see, withdrawal is worse. Yes, you are right, because actually withdrawal from heroin is one of the easiest withdrawals. You wouldn't think so, but it is. And withdrawal from alcohol is one of the worst. So
I did not know that.
yeah, it's kind of surprising. Like it doesn't make intuitive sense, but it's actually true. So. Okay. And all this is stuff we're going to learn in the class. Who would like to read number 3?
The person who designed a chart that visually displays the progressive stages of alcoholism was named Bill Wilson. I'll say true.
Yeah, you're actually wrong about that one. Bill Wilson was the founder of AA, but the Jelinek chart, which is something we'll learn about in class, was made by E.M. Jelinek. So, but don't worry, it's just for fun. So, okay. Number 4. Let's have a reader.
Men have more. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. You can
Men
ask
have
questions.
co-occurring mental health and SUS than women do. I believe that's true.
Okay, ding. It's actually false. Women have more co-occurring mental health and substance abuse disorders than men do. But again, you know, I don't expect you to know this stuff. We will be learning it in class. Okay. Number 5, let's have a reader.
Due to modern medicines that are used, alcoholics never die if their withdrawal is not well managed by the treatment facility. I'm going to say false.
You're right. And why'd you say that?
Well, if they're not well managed, then the likelihood of them dying goes up.
Right, that's true. You can die in withdrawal, especially from alcoholism. Like alcoholism is the worst overall for withdrawal, physical effects on the body, much more than drugs. So, okay. Number 6. Just to read it.
African Americans in the US have much higher rates of SUDS than do whites. False.
You're right. Good. That was sort of a little tricky question there. Why do you say false?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, well, you're actually right, which is good. African Americans in the US have the same, I think at least the same, I can't remember if it's slightly lower, rates of SUDS than do white Americans. But the thing is, they have a lot more trouble because of their substance abuse problems. They get in more legal trouble, they go to jail more often, you know, but their rates of substance abuse are actually the same or possibly slightly lower. So that says something about systemic racism in the criminal justice system. Okay, who wants to read number 7?
A medical disease that is highly associated with alcoholism is pancreatitis. I'm gonna guess true only because I know alcohol can affect the liver, so I'm assuming it also affects other parts of the body.
Right, you're totally right. And we'll actually learn in our class that there's certain medical conditions that will be like red flags to you. Like, not that every single person that has this medical condition is an alcoholic or a drug abuser, but pancreatitis is like 98% associated with alcoholism. And then there's other diseases too, like esophageal cancer is highly associated with alcoholism, stomach problems like gastritis. So there's certain things that you'll learn that are kind of like red flags. Okay, going on. Let's have someone else read.
Seeking Safety is a program that is used to treat clients with both SUDS and trauma. True.
You're right. And why'd you say that?
Because trauma typically surrounds a lot, believe it or not, and it accounts for a lot of people, what they do and what they run to. And
that's right. So, have you all heard about Seeking Safety? Have you heard of that program?
Not really Seeking Safety, but I heard about the way trauma like affects the body and stuff. I sat in on some I think it's called EDF training or EDR training.
EMDR.
So it was MDR, sorry, training.
Yeah, that's okay.
So,
yeah. So
gave me
Seeking
some
Safety,
insight.
you'll learn about it, but it's a program for co-occurring trauma and so everything in here we'll learn about. Okay, how about number 9?
Women alcoholics develop physical effects from alcoholism at the same rate as men do. I honestly have no idea. I'm just gonna go with true.
True. Okay, so false. Ding. You know, because but that's okay. Like I said, actually, women surprisingly, it's called telescoping, but they develop worse effects, physical effects from alcohol much more quickly than men do. And that's probably because women are smaller, you know, their bodies are smaller, or I forgot if they have, I think we have more water in our bodies, or I can't remember the exact reasons, but it's true. So, okay, last one.
The substance abuse that most commonly occurs with gambling is cocaine addiction. I would say false.
Dang. So it's actually true. Like, most gamblers are also alcoholics, or there's a very high rate of, alcoholism with gambling. So
Is it alcohol or cocaine? Because that says cocaine.
yeah, that's why it was a trick question. You know, it was it's not, it's false because it's not cocaine. It's supposed to be alcoholism. So yeah, gambling and alcoholism go together. So you guys did a great job in that. You already know everything in the class practically. So were you surprised at any of those answers or not? Or so now the first week in class, we're going to learn about the history of addiction treatment. That's what we're going to learn about the first week. So I thought we would talk about it just a little bit on this first class. We're going to see a video about Betty Ford. So does anybody know who was Betty Ford and why was she so important to the field of substance abuse?
So I actually watched the show that had all the first ladies, and I didn't know this before I watched the show, but Betty Ford was the first lady of President Ford, and she had a substance use disorder. I think it was alcoholism, and she was like one of the first people, like public figures, to come out and talk about like the importance of addiction treatment and why it's important, and kind of like break the stigma. She broke a lot of stigmas surrounding alcoholism and addiction treatment.
Right. Very good that you know that. So, yeah, Betty Ford was quite a person, you know, at that time to speak out about alcoholism, especially you're the wife of the president, you know, was really a major big deal. So, and she also spoke out about other things. She had breast cancer. She was one of the first women to speak out about that. And have all of you heard about the Betty Ford Treatment Center? Do you know about that? Yeah, it's a very well-known substance abuse facility. So, so let's watch a little video about Betty Ford, and then we'll have a discussion. So let me pull that up.
When I entered work in the alcoholism field in the late 1960s, I entered at the tail end of the most depraved conditions under which alcohol was treated in the United States. When I entered work in the alcoholism field in the late 1960s, I entered at the tail end of the most depraved conditions under which alcoholics were treated in the United States. If somebody would have told me in my earliest days entering the field, Bill, don't despair, because in your lifetime, you will see the wife of a president of the United States on television talking about her recovery.
I'm Betty Ford, and I'm an alcoholic, a recovering woman alcoholic, and I might say very grateful.
The Betty Ford story is an interesting one because it's important to put it in context. By the time we turn into the 1980s, we're going to see a real reversal of some of the positive changes that had begun to unfold in the United States. It had almost become sort of the in thing in some circles to be in recovery during that time period. But very quickly, this was smothered by two things. One was the cocaine epidemic of the 1980s, and all of the incredible images that got then linked into addiction.
The focus has been shifted to cocaine and crack to the extent of ignoring alcohol, the #1 drug of addiction of this country. What has been the result of this profound change in our policy and our thinking? As the leader of a chemical dependency treatment center, I can tell you simply that the real victims of the so-called war on drugs are those who are addicted and the treatment programs designed to help them.
We re-stigmatized, we demedicalized, we recriminalized alcohol and other drug problems. So in that context, to have the wife of a president of the United States coming forward within this era
was an enormous act of personal and family courage for that to happen. And it was an incredibly kinetic moment because this was a man's world.
Because alcoholism and drug dependency are mistakenly seen as self-inflicted conditions and characterized as moral failings, healthcare purchasers have been misled into believing that their healthcare dollars could be better spent elsewhere.
We had large numbers of alcohol and drug dependent women hidden within this culture, Betty Ford being one of them. And that ability for her to speak publicly about her treatment and recovery and to have her family surrounding her in that recovery process was an incredible turning point in our history.
There was this gratefulness I had that my family truly cared enough to do something about me and to tell me actually that they loved me too much to let me go. They were trying to help me. I had had breast cancer and I had survived that. And now I was confronted with addiction. And by golly, I made up my mind I was going to survive that too.
When we have the Betty Fords of the world stepping forward to put a face and voice on recovery, those stereotypes simply can't be sustained any longer. And as the stereotypes begin to disintegrate from this advocacy effort, by the power of people's stories, then what we can do is come behind that with our advocacy and begin to dismantle the discriminatory structures that really have created obstacles for people seeking and maintaining recovery over time, and building resources that are going to dramatically widen the doorway of entry into long-term recovery for people.
And it's fitting then that I'm speaking here at this center, at the Betty Ford Center. Nearly a year after passing that inspirational woman who brought this place into being, we honor her as a recovery champion, unafraid to break taboos and to speak about issues that affect the lives of millions who need attention, but who are too often kept in the shadows. And it was Betty Ford who said, and I quote, "I think I was born to be outspoken. Hopefully it's been a benefit to others."
If I had not found recovery from my own addiction to prescription drugs and to alcohol, I would not have lived to see this day. I would not have lived to see 3 of my children be married. I would not have experienced the joy of being the grandmother of 5 wonderful granddaughters. I know that treatment works, that it saves lives, because it saved mine.
Just a second. Okay. Any reactions to that video? How did you all feel watching that?
I'm glad that they highlighted the stigma and how it's continuously present in our society, at least in mental health in general. But I like that can get highlighted because I think a lot of people tend to gloss over that. So yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to just share their gut reaction watching that?
Something that I kept on thinking about is just how she's kind of like the perfect first, not first, but like a perfect person to be the one leading. Like, she has money, she has resources, it's a white woman. So it's kind of like that privilege to be able to go to treatment when it wasn't regularly available.
That's true. But then you have to remember at that time, like, nobody spoke out about it. So, but you're right. Any other gut reactions?
I had a gut reaction when they were talking about how it was really brave of her and her family, like how there could be backlash on the family as well. And that was sort of sad to me.
It was sad. Yeah.
Yeah, just the amount of stigma related, you know.
Hmm. Actually, I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but that moved me to tears almost. Like the first time I saw it, I felt like that. I didn't realize that Betty Ford was such a brave person, or that took a lot of courage, I felt. So what do you all think in general about the idea of celebrities speaking out about their addiction? Do you think that helps people or not really?
I think it helps people. They use their like platform to, you know, so many impressionable young people are watching them. They, you know, they go out and buy something as soon as they post that they wearing Balenciagas, or if they're wearing different Telfair bags, people run out and go get that kind of stuff. So using that platform for all those viewers, I think it helps someone who's secretly was suffering, especially if they idolize them. So yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah, I do too. Anyone else have maybe a different point of view?
I agree with that, but I also want to counter with the idea that I think it can be problematic in the sense that celebrities tend to make recovery and sobriety look easy because they have access to what they need, anything and everything. It's a lot harder, I think, for the quote unquote average Joe to find really solid recovery and places to do that, and maintain that, especially when they get back into the real world and they may have to work and the pressures and stressors of life. I think it's a lot harder.
Yeah, I agree. And that was a good point that you made, Joe, that not everybody has all these privileges and money, you know, to go get that kind of treatment. So
Yeah, I
other
would agree.
Yeah.
That like it is good to talk about it, for celebrities to talk about it, and does break a stigma, but at the same time, I feel like we're at a point where it's kind of like you have to put your money where your mouth is, and if you're not going to donate to recovery or help other people find treatment too, then at that point you're kind of just capitalizing off of your addiction just for you to be in the news and in the blogs. Like I would say a couple years ago, it was groundbreaking for celebrities to come out and talk about their addiction, and it still is in a way. I'm not saying it's not like courageous or anything, but it's not enough.
It's not enough. Yeah, that I agree with you. So, yeah, what else do you think there should be besides? I mean, obviously that's not enough.
Yeah, I think they should be donating their money that they make to addictions or some type of cause or mutual aid.
Yeah, that was what was so inspiring to me personally about Betty Ford. You know, she started the Betty Ford Center, or she really did put her money where her mouth was. So. Does anybody think sometimes celebrities make it trendy to be addicted? Seem trendy?
I don't know. I've heard people argue, and I don't know if I agree with this, but that especially if they recover quickly, that it's something that, oh, everyone goes through that, and you know, not really understanding that they have resources that other people might not, or that might have support that other people might not. But I've also heard in the same argument saying that seeing people who are addicted to drugs in like fictional works can sometimes make it seem like you're glorifying it or something like that. So I don't know if I agree with that, but I have heard that argument.
Yeah, maybe it's kind of a fine line to walk between publicizing it and making it seem like, oh, it's so easy, you know. So, any other comments?
I think bringing awareness to substance use disorder is very important, but also advocate for those vulnerable populations that don't have it. so that they can have it, or call the government or politicians out on it.
I agree. Yeah, sounds like that's a general feeling here that not everybody gets a fair shake or has the same opportunities for getting treatment. Do most of you work, do any of you work with substance abusers, or are you really just kind of taking this class and being exposed to the subject for the first time, or any of you actually have worked with substance abusers?
I work with substance abuse at my internship presently, yes.
Oh, okay. And what do you do there? Or tell us about your experiences.
So I do a lot of like assessments when they're coming in for intake. So I do a lot of their assessments. I actually have sessions with them. I find it a little difficult to deal with substance abuse because like at my office, it actually was a fight. The police was called because, you know, they're detoxing, having group. You have the IOP and people are coming down, their tempers are flaring. Then you have some people who are still actively, you know, using. They shouldn't be, but they are. And they're trying to do an intake with someone who's high is almost impossible. So it's kind of frustrating.
Huh. So as I said, I'm from Chicago. I'm not familiar with all these resources in Maryland, but this is a treatment facility, or what is it? A detox?
It's a private practice, but he deals with a lot with substance abuse.
Oh,
So,
okay. Huh. And there was actually a fight that broke out.
Yeah, because they were having group and someone was sharing, the other person didn't like what they said, and it was a mess.
Wow.
Just removed myself. So now they end up getting security and everything, and now security is hyping, and they took the proper steps, but you know, you're dealing with substance abuse, so unfortunately, you can encounter some of those things.
True. And anybody else currently or in the past work with substance abuse? You do. Okay. Tell us about your experience, Paige.
I work with people who have co-occurring substance disorders and mental health disorders. I lead group and individual sessions for mental health. So people come to the center, it's called Power Recovery Center. People come there for initially substance use disorders and withdrawal, and then it's like a 6-month inpatient program, and then they can be outpatient after they finish. But once they're there, they have the option to join mental health. So when they join mental health, I work with them. So I mean, I think I don't want to say like there's never a one size fits all for any group or any demographic. So it really is just working with like people and finding out their individual needs. Of course, they all are coming in for substance use, but when it's mental health, you get to find out the nuances of that experience. So yeah.
Right. Like we rarely have the luxury of seeing one diagnosis in isolation, that many people have co-occurring disorders. That's true.
I also do substance abuse work. My internship is at the University of Maryland Health and Recovery Practice. So we are attached to a methadone clinic about 6 blocks from UMB's campus. And I work primarily, I'm doing housing case management. So I work with a group of about 8 clients who are not only, a lot of them still in active addiction, but they are also homeless. And so, like I said, I do more of the housing piece than the substance abuse piece right now. But it has really opened my eyes to kind of some of the substance abuse issues. My background is not in SUD at all. My background isn't even really in mental health. I got my bachelor's in social work, but my bachelor's internship was actually in higher education and working with adults with disabilities. So this is a whole new world for me. Yeah, so it's exciting and it's a good learning experience, and I really love it, way more than I thought I was going to. But there are days where it can still be really overwhelming for me to try and understand, you know, kind of all of the aspects of it, because it's not really part of my world. I mean, one of my best friends in a 12-step program recently, but like other than that one person, that one experience, it's not really something that I was ever really introduced to growing up. So it's a whole new world for me, and that's part of the reason I'm taking this class now. Throughout this semester and in the summer, they want me to kind of start doing some more of the substance use piece as well as the housing piece. And so I need to learn as much as I can as quickly as I can.
Yeah, good. Well, you will learn. So, I mean, no matter what branch of social work you go into, you're always going to encounter substance abuse. So this is actually the most important, or one of the most important classes you'll ever take, no matter what you end up doing. So, yeah, I remember when I was in graduate school, some students would say, well, I don't want to work with substance abuse, but really, you know, you don't have a choice. You're always going to encounter it no matter what. So anybody else actually presently work with substance abuse?
My current field placement is with Colmac Outpatient Recovery, and it offers IOP for adults. So I co-facilitate IOP groups during the week and case manage a few patients, and just started working with one patient one-on-one.
Oh, okay. So sounds like you're getting a lot of good experience there. And do you like that, or do you find some aspects of it frustrating?
Definitely find some aspects of it frustrating.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, what's frustrating to me about IOP programs is that the clients often think that, oh, okay, I was in this program for 3 weeks, I'm fine, you know, but really that's just a start, you know, that really substance abuse people need long-term follow-up, or research has shown that it's much better if there's long-term follow-up. So, okay, great. You all have some interesting experiences there. I don't want to keep you too long tonight because it's our first, you know, class. So I'm going to end by showing you the assignments for next week. So let me pull that up. Okay, so every Wednesday, this will be posted on Blackboard. And this is the first one. So everything on this weekly assignment past a PowerPoint is all due before our second Zoom class. So by January 25th. So every week you'll be watching a pre-recorded lecture. So this week I want you to watch the pre-recorded video for the lecture for week 1, which is about the history of substance abuse treatment in the US. And then also there's an introduction to course video that's also posted that tells about the course in general. Then we have a video of an interview with Bill Wilson, who is the founder of AA. It's pretty interesting. And then in terms of reading, I have 2 articles to read. One is about the history of alcohol and slavery, and an article about the recovery legacies of Frederick Douglass and Malcolm X. So read those, and then do the discussion question for week 1. Like I said, you have until next Wednesday to do it. And every week there's a new discussion question. And have fun studying this week. Welcome to the course. Any questions about the assignments, the course, anything you want to ask?